Brothers are supposed to stick together. They're supposed to protect each other, not stand in the way of each other's future. But what happens when one brother wants out of the drug game and the other will do anything to keep him in? Welcome to Movie Bites. Today we're revisiting Sugar Hill, a powerful story about family, ambition, and the tragic consequences of refusing to let go. First up is Romelo Scug, played by the incredible Wesley Snipes. If there was one man in Sugar Hill who had the money, the power, and the respect, but still wasn't happy, it was Romelo. Unlike most drug kingpins we see in movies, he wasn't trying to build a bigger empire. He was trying to escape one. From the very beginning, you can tell this man is tired. Tired of the violence. Tired of the pressure. Tired of watching the streets take more than they give. While everyone around him is chasing more money and more power, Romelo is dreaming about something most people in his position never get: a way out. What really gets me every time I watch this film is his relationship with his father. Here was a son watching his father slowly lose himself to addiction, and no amount of money could fix it. You can see the hurt in Romelo's eyes. The streets had already taken so much from his family, and deep down he knew they would keep taking. Then there's his brother, Ray Nathan. Man, that's where the heartbreak really begins. Romelo wanted out. He wanted a fresh start. He wanted a chance to live a normal life. But Ray Nathan couldn't have it. While Romelo was looking toward the future, Ray Nathan was still in love with the life they had built. One brother wanted freedom, the other wanted the game, and we all know how that story ends. Wesley Snipes was 31 years old when he took on the role, and at the time he was one of the hottest prospects in Hollywood. He had already turned heads in films like New Jack City, Jungle Fever, and White Men Can't Jump. Everywhere you looked in the early 90s, Wesley Snipes was becoming a star. After Sugar Hill, he continued building an incredible career and eventually became one of the biggest action stars of his generation with films like Blade. Today, Wesley Snipes is 63 years old, and when I think about Sugar Hill, I don't think of Romelo as a drug dealer. I think of a man who saw the writing on the wall and desperately tried to escape before the streets took everything he loved. That's what made the character special, and that's why Wesley Snipes absolutely nailed the role. And then we have Ray Nathan Scug, the bitter brother played by Wright. Now Ray Nathan is trouble. No two ways about it. This is a man who doesn't know how to stay calm for long. He spirals, he reacts, and he lives fully inside the chaos of the drug game he built with his brother. But when you look closer, it doesn't feel like he was just born bad or reckless. You get the sense something deeper broke him early on. Seeing his mother overdose is one of those moments you don't just recover from. And while Romelo processes that trauma by trying to get out, Ray Nathan seems to go the opposite direction. He leans into the life harder, like he's trying to outrun the pain instead of escaping it. That's what makes him such a complicated character. You want to hate him because of the choices he makes, but at the same time, you feel sorry for him. He's stuck in a mindset where leaving the game feels like betrayal. So when his brother starts talking about getting out, Ray Nathan doesn't hear hope. He hears abandonment. And out of jealousy, fear, and pride, he refuses to let Romelo walk away. Wright played this role to absolute perfection. He was 38 years old at the time and already had a solid run in film and television. One of his notable earlier appearances was in The 5 Heartbeats, along with various TV and film roles throughout the late 80s and 90s. He just had that raw intensity, the kind of screen presence where you believe every emotion he's going through, even when you disagree with everything the character is doing. Today, Wright is 70 years old, and his last known film work was around 2005. He's largely stepped away from the spotlight since then, and over time he's kind of disappeared from public view. And honestly, when you look back at a performance like Ray Nathan, you can't help but hope he's doing all right, because he gave that role everything. Pain, anger, vulnerability, all of it. And it stayed with people long after the credits rolled. Moving on, we've got to talk about Arthur Scugg, played by the late Clarence Williams III. Now let's be real. This is the man who set a lot of this in motion. Arthur is the father of Romelo and Ray Nathan, but he's not some guiding figure of wisdom in their lives. He used to deal back in the day, and that street life never really left the family. It just passed down in a different form. And what makes it even heavier is how messy everything around him is. His wife's addiction didn't just happen in isolation. You get the sense a lot of it was enabled, or at the very least ignored, by the life he was living. So when things start falling apart in that household, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's been building for years. And instead of breaking that cycle and steering his sons towards something better, the opposite happens. The same streets he came from, his sons end up walking right into them. Clarence Williams III played this role with that quiet intensity only he could bring. A real G in his own right. This is a man who had already built a strong career long before Sugar Hill, with roles in the Mod Squad and films like I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. He started acting all the way back in 1959, and by the time Sugar Hill came around, he was 55 years old, bringing decades of experience into the role. After Sugar Hill, he went on to appear in films like Tales from the Hood, Hoodlum, and Half-Baked, still showing that same unmistakable presence on screen. And honestly, he absolutely nailed Arthur. A man full of regret, a man living with the consequences of choices he made long before the story even began. Clarence Williams III passed away in 2021 at the age of 81, and he will forever be remembered as a legend. Seeing your mother overdose right in front of you is the kind of trauma that never leaves. It's something no child should ever have to witness, but that's exactly what happens to Romelo and Ray Nathan in Sugar Hill. Their mother, Ella Scuggs, played by Condi Alexander, is one of the most heartbreaking characters in the entire film. What makes Ella's story so sad is that through flashbacks, we get to see the woman she used to be. We see her with her young boys when they were still just kids who loved their mother and depended on her. In those moments, you can see there was once a caring parent there. But as time passes, the drugs slowly get the worst of her, pulling her further and further away from the family that needs her most. Then comes one of the most devastating moments in the movie. Ella overdoses in front of her sons, leaving them helpless as they watch their mother slip away. In an instant, they lose not only their mother, but also a piece of their childhood. And you can see how that loss shapes them as they grow up. Romelo spends much of his life trying to escape the same streets that destroyed his family, while Ray Nathan seems to become even more consumed by them. Same pain, same tragedy, but both brothers are carrying wounds that never fully heal. That's what makes Ella such an important character. Even after she's gone, her presence is felt throughout the entire story. Condi Alexander brought so much humanity to the role. She didn't just play an addict. She played a mother who lost herself to addiction and left behind two boys who would spend the rest of their lives trying to cope with that loss. By the time Sugar Hill was released in 1994, Condi Alexander was 37 years old and already building an impressive career. Today, she is 68 years old and remains one of the most respected actresses of her generation. But for fans of Sugar Hill, she'll always be remembered as Ella Scuggs, the mother whose tragic battle with addiction left a scar on her family that never truly faded. Up next, we have Melissa. Played by Theresa Randle, Melissa is the woman who completely changes Romelo's outlook on life. Unlike the people and situations that usually surround Romelo, Melissa brings something different into his life. She represents peace, stability, and the possibility of a future beyond the streets. What's interesting is that Romelo already wanted out of the drug game before meeting Melissa. He had grown tired of the violence, the constant pressure, and the feeling that his life was headed toward a dead end. But after meeting her, that desire becomes even stronger. For the first time, he can truly see a life outside of Harlem's drug trade. Melissa gives him something worth fighting for, and something worth leaving the game behind for. Theresa Randle brought a natural warmth to the role that made their relationship feel believable. She wasn't just there to be a love interest. She became the symbol of everything Romelo hoped to achieve if he could finally break free from the life he had always known. Her performance added an emotional layer to a film that was otherwise filled with violence, betrayal, and tragedy. At the time of filming, Theresa Randle was 30 years old and already building an impressive career. Prior to Sugar Hill, she had appeared in films such as Malcolm X and Beverly Hills Cop 3, proving she could hold her own alongside some of Hollywood's biggest stars. After Sugar Hill, her career continued to rise, and she became widely known for playing Theresa Burnett in the Bad Boys films, one of the most recognizable roles of her career. Today, Theresa Randle is 61 years old. Unfortunately, over the past few years, fans have expressed concern about her well-being after several public appearances showed a very different side of the actress many grew up watching. She has largely stayed out of the spotlight, and not much is publicly known about her current situation. Still, for fans of Sugar Hill, Theresa Randle will always be remembered as Melissa, the woman who gave Romelo a glimpse of a better life and inspired him to believe there was something waiting for him beyond the streets. Up next, we have Kaimi. Played by Donald Faison, Kaimi is one of the film's most tragic characters and a heartbreaking example of how the drug game can influence young people searching for someone to admire. Throughout Sugar Hill, Kaimi looks up to Romelo and wants nothing more than to be like him. He sees the respect, money, and status that Romelo commands and dreams of following in his footsteps. Kaimi is eager to learn the game and hopes Romelo will eventually show him the ropes of dealing, believing that the street life is his path to success. What makes Kaimi's story so sad is that Romelo is actually trying to leave that life behind. In many ways, Kaimi represents the next generation of young men being drawn toward the very lifestyle that Romelo is desperately trying to escape. One of the saddest moments in the film comes during the shootout that claims Kaimi's life. As chaos erupts, Kaimi tries to help save Romelo, showing just how much respect and admiration he had for him. It's a devastating moment because Kaimi was still so young and never really had the chance to build a life of his own. Donald Faison brought a natural energy and sincerity to the role. Kaimi wasn't a kingpin or a major player in the streets. He was a young kid searching for guidance, purpose, and someone to emulate. At the time of filming, Donald Faison was just 19 years old and still establishing himself as an actor. Before Sugar Hill, he had appeared in Juice, and shortly afterward, he landed a role in the underrated hood classic New Jersey Drive, another film that explored the challenges facing young people growing up in tough urban environments during the 1990s. Over the years, Donald Faison built a successful career across both film and television. Today, Donald Faison is 52 years old and continues to work steadily in the entertainment industry. But for fans of Sugar Hill, he'll always be remembered as Kaimi, the loyal young kid who wanted to be just like Romelo, hoped to learn the game from him one day, and tragically lost his life trying to save the man he admired most. And finally, we have Ernie Hudson, who brought one of Sugar Hill's most memorable characters to life. Playing Lai Jonas, Hudson wasn't just another drug dealer in the film. He was a man who saw an opportunity and wasn't afraid to take it. A former boxer with a calm demeanor and a sharp mind, Lolly understood the streets better than most. He didn't need to be the loudest man in the room to command respect. While others relied on intimidation, Lolly relied on patience, strategy, and timing. And when Romelo Scug started talking about leaving the drug game behind, Lolly saw his opening. In a world where power rarely stayed vacant for long, Lolly was ready to step in and claim his place. He wasn't driven by emotion or loyalty. He was driven by ambition, and that made him one of the most dangerous people in Harlem. What made Lolly such a memorable character wasn't just what he did, it was how Ernie Hudson played him. There was a quiet confidence about him. He could carry on a conversation with a smile on his face while making it clear that crossing him would be a mistake. By the time he took on the role, Ernie Hudson was already a familiar face to audiences. Many knew him as Winston Zeddemore from Ghostbusters, but Sugar Hill gave him the chance to show a completely different side of his talent. As Lolly, he delivered a performance that was subtle, believable, and unforgettable. Over the years, Hudson built one of the most respected careers in Hollywood, appearing in dozens of films and television shows while earning the admiration of fans across generations. Now 80 years old, Ernie Hudson is still going strong, continuing to work in film and television and proving that true staying power is rare in the entertainment industry. Up next, we have Mark Dobby. Now this guy right here is one of the most unlikable characters in the entire movie. Played by Vondie Curtis Hall, Mark is a successful basketball star who thinks his fame, money, and status mean he can have anything he wants. And unfortunately, that includes women. You can tell from the moment Mark appears on screen that he's used to getting his way. He's confident, smooth, and carries himself like he's the most important person in every room. The problem is, Mark mistakes attention for entitlement. Because women are attracted to him and people know his name, he starts believing nobody can tell him no. That attitude shows up in one of the film's most disturbing moments involving Melissa. At this point in the story, Melissa is feeling lost and disappointed with where her life is headed. Looking for a fresh start, she agrees to spend some time with Mark, thinking maybe he's different from the people she's been around. What starts as a simple date quickly turns ugly. Once they're alone, Mark reveals who he really is. The charm disappears, and what we're left with is a selfish, arrogant man who can't handle rejection. It's one of those scenes that makes your blood boil because Melissa didn't deserve any of it. She was vulnerable, looking for a little peace in her life, and instead she found herself in a terrifying situation. I can't help but wish Romelo had found out exactly what Mark tried to do to Melissa. If Romelo had known, I have a feeling Mark Dobby would have gotten put in his place real quick. For a guy who walked around acting like he was untouchable, that would have been a reality check he desperately needed. The man behind the character, Vondie Curtis Hall, was 44 years old when Sugar Hill was released in 1994. Before this movie, he had already built a solid career with roles in films like Coming to America, Die Hard 2, Passion Fish, and Falling Down. He was one of those actors who could show up in a movie and instantly make his character memorable, even with limited screen time. After Sugar Hill, his career only got bigger. He appeared in Crooklyn, Broken Arrow, and the beloved Southern Gothic classic Eve's Bayou, where he played Julian Greyraven. He later directed the cult classic Gridlocked, starring Tupac Shakur and Tim Roth, proving he was just as talented behind the camera as he was in front of it. Over the years, he continued building an impressive resume across film and television. Today, Vondie Curtis Hall is 75 years old. But for Sugar Hill fans, he'll always be remembered as Mark Dobby, the smooth-talking basketball star who thought his fame could get him anything he wanted. Only to show that sometimes the worst people in a movie aren't the drug dealers or gangsters, but the ones hiding behind a smile and a reputation. Next on our list is Ricky, also known as Goggles. Now, Ricky wasn't some innocent bystander caught up in the game. He was a drug dealer, just like Romelo Scuggs. The difference was that Goggles never seemed obsessed with power, money, or making a name for himself. He was one of those guys who understood the business, did his job, and stayed loyal to the people around him. In Sugar Hill, Goggles is one of Romelo's closest friends and most trusted partners. These weren't just guys making money together. They came up together. The kind of friendship built through years of living the same life, facing the same dangers, and understanding the same code. Played by Steve Harris, Goggles brought a calm energy to every scene he was in. While other characters were constantly fighting for control or trying to prove themselves, Goggles seemed comfortable in his position. He wasn't looking to be king, he was simply part of the team. And that's one of the reasons fans remember him. Steve Harris was around 27 years old when Sugar Hill was filmed and was still early in his Hollywood career. Many fans also know him as the older brother of Wood Harris, who would later become a major star in his own right. A few years after Sugar Hill, Steve Harris gained national recognition playing Eugene Young on The Practice, a role that helped establish him as one of television's most dependable actors. Today, Steve Harris is 60 years old and still respected for the authenticity he brought to his performances. But for fans of Sugar Hill, he'll always be Ricky Goggles, one of Romelo's most trusted friends, a loyal member of the crew, and a character whose fate showed that in the drug game, nobody gets a guaranteed way out. As we wrap up, Sugar Hill reminds us that every choice has consequences. What started as a bond between brothers eventually turned into tragedy, proving that jealousy, pride, and the inability to let go can turn your closest ally into your greatest enemy. Rainathan and Romelo wanted different things out of life, but instead of understanding each other, they drifted further apart until there was no turning back. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest thing to do isn't fighting to hold on. it's knowing when to let go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.